And then I graduated. And I was in for a bit of a shell shock. I back in with my parents, Toronto, Ontario. I just didn't really know how to function again. I had gone from living a fairly independent social life, doing all sorts of crazy things, to being cooped up in my parents' house at 22, listening to my parents argue and bicker with each other all over again. But I honestly didn't know what else I was going to do. And when I was there, I didn't know how to get myself out of it. I applied for some jobs and I didn't really get the callbacks that I thought I was going to. And that is how I ended up back with my parents. And so I thought, let's keep doing this. Let's apply for some jobs, see what my field has to offer me in Toronto, without a car, bad idea. And so intermittently me applying for research and environmental jobs and trying to get my foot in the door. I was applying for customer service affiliated jobs at department stores or retail stores in Toronto because I needed money and I needed something to keep me motivated and get me out of the house, quite frankly, because I was going insane in the house. I got a job at Kitchen Stuff Plus, which is like a cheap warehouse version of HomeSense, Bed Bath & Beyond, general houseware kind of stuff. And I actually only lasted 6 freaking weeks at this job. 6 weeks. Yeah, it turns out retail is a really stressful environment. So, after 6 months of not getting a job in my field, living under my parents' house, and jumping from job to job to job, and it was like lame-o, minimum wage, job to job to job. And I at one point started working at a warehouse called Royal Specialty Sales. They sold souvenirs and other weird knickknacks to the souvenir shops around Canada. Yeah, they're the place that holds everything with your white mug that says Toronto or Montreal on it. Or Ottawa was so expensive I could only afford half a cup. Every single souvenir shop has this exact same cup. Or Montreal was so expensive that I could only afford half a cup. Yeah, I worked at a warehouse that housed all of this stuff that came from China anyway. And at one point I thought, I could make this work. I could save up enough money from this shitty job, get a place on my own, and I could make this work. But then as soon as I thought this, I was just like, no, I don't want to do that. So after about about 6 months of job hopping, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to do something different. So I thought about a few different things. You know what? I had the grades. Let's apply to grad school. Because that is the only answer that I could think of to get myself out of the house and back into the freaking zone.